The film begins with a fight in Pitsanuloko City, where people are competing to be the king's bodyguards. During the fight, a man named Cam, who has mohawk hair and a thick mustache, is seen defeating several people who try to take him down. Even though Cam gets hit a lot, he still wins the fight. Next, the story goes back a few years and tells us about a Japanese soldier named Yamada Nagamasa. Yamada was a soldier who ended up in this place because of his fate. He has a big secret that he can't tell anyone, and he is determined to defeat all his enemies. After King Narijuan declared war on the Hongstawatic nation, many things happened. Even though Ayothaya won, it was still hard to make peace between the two nations. Soon after, a group of foreign men dressed as Hongstawatic soldiers started robbing the Siamese people, causing a lot of suffering. King Narijuan then gave orders to all village leaders and soldiers from different nations, including Yamada, to find the robbers no matter what. One night, a group of armed men secretly entered the area, but the soldiers on guard, including Yamada, discovered them. Yamada and the other soldiers attacked until there were no enemies left. Yamada then took one of the captured enemies to the commander of the Japanese troops and revealed that the group was actually Japanese soldiers pretending to be Hongstawatic soldiers. The commander was shocked and angry, and he ordered Yamada to keep it a secret and keep searching for the leader behind it all. One night in a village, some Japanese people were having a party. After the party, 3 soldiers were on their way home, but suddenly they were attacked by a group of masked soldiers. The attack was really intense, but one of the soldiers, Yamada, was saved by special guards from Ayothaya, even though he was badly injured. Yamada was taken to a temple where a monk helped heal him. During the attack, Yamada saw that the leader of the masked group was Kuroda, a trusted member of the Japanese troops who wanted to rebel. Kuroda managed to escape, but he was really mad because his plan failed, and his identity was exposed. There, Kuroda ordered his men to find Yamada and get rid of him wherever he was found. A few days later, the people of Ayothaya were going about their daily lives, trading goods by boat from house to house. Meanwhile, Yamada was still unconscious. Then, a girl named Crothan came to check on him, and soon, Yamada woke up. Crothan quickly called her older sister, Kampa, who was a beautiful woman. At that time, Kampa gave Yamada some water to drink. Yamada asked where he was, and Kampa told him that he was in Bid's Sanaloko City. Yamada was surprised because he realized he was far from the Japanese village where he lived. Elsewhere, a monk was talking to a group of men, telling them that there would be an election to choose the royal guards, and this time it would be watched over by King Narijuan himself. The monk introduced a man named Suwa, who was a trusted commander of the king. Suwa was the monk's student, and the monk brought him there to teach the men how to fight. One of the men didn't believe Suwa was skilled because he looked young. Feeling challenged, Suwa invited him to a duel. In just a few seconds, Suwa easily defeated the man. 3 other men also tried to test Suwa, but they were quickly beaten by his amazing fighting skills. After that, the monk gave some advice to the others. He said their land was going through tough times, and the Hongstawatic people wanted to take their land. So, they needed to stay united and be ready to fight to protect their nation. Meanwhile, Kuroda told the commander of the Japanese troops that Yamada had died. But the commander didn't believe him and told Kuroda to keep searching and find out who was behind the attack. Late at night, Yamada, who was still in pain, suddenly woke up. He tried to walk outside and met the monk. Then, Yamada asked where his sword was. The monk told him that as long as Yamada was there, he didn't need to be afraid or need his sword because he would be safe and even make friends. Soon after, Yamada thanked the monk for healing his wounds. He also met Cam and the other soldiers to thank them for saving him that night. And Cam, who was making a sword, said that Yamada was now considered a friend because Japan was an ally of King Narijuan and was ready to fight for Ayothaya. As days went by, Yamada felt very comfortable living there. The people treated him like family, showing him love and kindness as if they were brothers. While he was there, he never felt lonely again. One night, a group of masked soldiers sneaked into the place. They quietly entered Yamada's room. One of them swung a sword at him, but Yamada noticed just in time and dodged it. He ran outside, but the soldiers surrounded him from all sides. Yamada had to fight them one by one with his bare hands. Soon, the Ayothaya soldiers came to help him. They defeated most of the masked soldiers, but a few managed to escape. After that, An Ayothaya warrior became very angry with Yamada and asked why the Japanese were fighting and killing each other, even though they were supposed to be allies of Ayothaya. The warrior hit Yamada several times, but then he noticed that the monk was watching, so he stopped. They were called to appear before the monk. The monk told them that a person's identity wasn't as important as whether they were good or bad. However, the soldier was worried that Yamada might bring enemies to their place and put their people in danger. Shortly after, the monk calmed them down and asked them not to get involved in Yamada's personal issues. He reminded them to focus on the upcoming selection for the king's bodyguards and assured them that Yamada was a good person. In the end, they listened to the monk and accepted his explanation. Meanwhile, the masked soldiers who managed to escape went back to Kuroda. They reported what had happened. Hearing about their failure, Kuroda became extremely angry. Without mercy, Kuroda drew his sword and killed them all. This time, he was really furious. He ordered his other subordinates to keep an eye on Yamada and watch for his return. Kuroda was sure that Yamada would eventually go back home because Yamada wasn't originally from Ayothaya and wouldn't stay there for long. Kuroda was determined to make sure that when Yamada tried to leave, it would be the day he died. One evening, Yamada was sitting and playing his flute. Kappa came to him and said that bad memories are like sharp knives that can hurt you at any time. She also added that if Yamada didn't want to talk about the Japanese attacking him, then he didn't have to. Yamada then began to share his story about how he decided to leave his hometown in Suruga. At that time, Japan was in chaos because leaders were fighting each other for power. Whoever won or lost would end up being killed. Yamada was a soldier for a ruler who had lost his power. With no family left, he decided to start a new life and came to Ayothaya as one of King Narijuan's soldiers. Kappa then mentioned that power struggles weren't just happening in Japan, but in many other places too. She felt lucky that Japan had never been conquered by a foreign power, unlike their homeland, Ayothaya, which was constantly attacked by the Hongsuade army. This made them feel not only physically defeated, but also like their honor had been crushed. At that moment, Yamada realized how tough life was for them. Because they had helped and treated him so kindly, Yamada decided to fight alongside them and help them against their enemies. He also kept practicing self-defense every day. One day, Crothan saw Yamada training and challenged him to fight the soldiers. Yamada then went to where the soldiers were training and challenged Suwa. Soon after, they got ready to fight. But with just one move, Yamada was knocked down. Not wanting to accept defeat, Yamada challenged Suwa again the next day. This time, Suwa beat him so badly that Yamada ended up covered in bruises. At that time, Yamada stayed quiet, realizing that his skills were still far from what he had hoped. Not long after, Kam came and told Yamada that there was only one person who could defeat the commander of the royal guard, and that was the monk. Hearing this, Yamada quickly went to the monk, bowed down, and begged him to become his teacher. At first, the monk refused, saying that their martial arts were passed down from their ancestors and couldn't be taught to foreigners. But Yamada said that even though Ayothaya wasn't his birthplace, he wanted Ayothaya to be the place where he would be buried when he died. The monk was surprised by his words and finally agreed to take Yamada as his student. Then, they started with a ritual, and then the monk began teaching Yamada the Ayothaya martial arts, which is now known as Muay Thai. This martial art uses 8 main weapons, which are 2 hands, 2 feet, 2 knees, and 2 elbows. Muay Thai is a fighting style with graceful movements, hidden strength, and high aggression. Every day, Yamada trained hard. He even tested his skills by challenging Suwa to a fight. The commander admitted that Yamada's martial arts had improved a lot. One day, while Kam was practicing, Yamada came and gave him a sword he had made himself. The sword was a mix of Japanese and Ayothaya styles. Yamada hoped Kam would use the sword to defeat Ayothaya's enemies. Yamada and Kam became very close, and they even bathed the elephants together in the river. A few days later, after seeing that Yamada was ready, the monk asked him to participate in the selection of the king's personal guard. After hearing about the responsibilities of the royal guard, Yamada agreed to take part. The monk also gave Yamada traditional Ayothaya tattoos on his body. The tattoos had sacred letters to remind him to always do good deeds, because what lasts forever in this world is a noble heart. The next day, the selection for the king's personal guard began, and it was directly supervised by King Narijuan. Soon after, Yamada entered the arena and defeated all his opponents. Seeing this, King Narizuan was impressed and smiled. In the end, Yamada was chosen as the king's personal bodyguard. Even though he wasn't from Ayothaya, King Narizuan saw Yamada's determination and knew he was truly ready to give his life for Ayothaya. Not long after, a messenger from the king came with urgent news. He said that King Hongsawade had sent 200 soldiers from different tribes to kill King Narizuan, and they were already on their way to Ayothaya. King Hongsawade held a deep grudge against the Ayothaya people because his son had died in a past war with them. To get revenge, he sent many soldiers and promised great rewards to the tribe that could bring him the head of King Narizuan. When King Narizuan heard about the attack, he was very angry. He ordered his 10 best soldiers, including Cam and Yamada, to go and fight them. Cam and the others eagerly accepted the order. In the wilderness, Yamada and the others got ready to wait for the enemy. Soon, the enemy soldiers arrived. Without hesitation, Yamada and his group fought fiercely and defeated all 200 enemy soldiers one by one, without showing any mercy. After defeating all the enemies, Yamada and the others returned to Ayothaya. King Narizuan, who had been waiting for them, was very happy and grateful for their bravery. In front of a sacred statue, Cam and Yamada swore to be brothers, promising never to betray each other and to always protect Ayothaya with all their strength. After that, they enjoyed watching a traditional performance together. One night, Yamada felt uneasy. Kappa came to him and asked what was on his mind. Yamada replied that even though he felt very happy and peaceful in Ayothaya, he felt the need to return to the Japanese village to settle some unfinished business. Hearing this, Krothan and Kampa, who had both fallen in love with Yamada, felt very sad. Finally, Yamada decided to leave and arrived at the Japanese village. As soon as Kuroda, who had been waiting for Yamada's return, saw him, he immediately confronted him. Then, a fight between the samurai broke out. Soon, many masked samurai soldiers joined in to attack Yamada. Suddenly, Cam arrived to help Yamada and defeated the masked soldiers who kept coming. Seeing his soldiers defeated, Kuroda pulled out a gun and aimed it at Yamada, planning to shoot him. But Cam saw this and quickly stepped in to protect Yamada, taking the bullet himself. Yamada, filled with anger after seeing his best friend seriously injured, killed Kuroda. And Cam, who was badly hurt by the gunshot, eventually died. Yamada then brought Cam's body back to Ayothaya and held a cremation ceremony for him. As the flames consumed his friend's body, Yamada sat there, feeling helpless and heartbroken by the loss of his best friend. At that time, Yamada promised to always remember the vow he made with Cam. After that, Yamada decided to stay in Ayothaya, repaying the kindness that Cam and the people of Ayothaya had shown him. And with that, the film ends. The moral lesson from this film is sometimes, protecting your friends means you might take a bullet, but at least you'll get a cool cremation ceremony. Also, never mess with someone who's got a sword and a grudge, 'cause it's a bad combo.